Hello, I'm Rebecca of the Garden Gate Flower Company.
And I'm Grace of Grace Alexander Flowers.
And we've come together to create Stuart and Alexander Gather at the Garden Gate.
A podcast taking you behind the scenes of two gardens, what we've been up to inside, outside and out and about.
Hello and welcome to Stuart and Alexander and episode 9. Hi Grace.
Hello. How are you?
Well, first of all, apologies because I was demob happy and slightly forgot about recording the podcast. You're very patient with me. I am the worst co-host ever.
Do you know what, Becca? I'm going to sit here and pretend that I've been waiting for you, but actually I logged in about 3.5 seconds before you did.
Yeah, that's good. Thank goodness for that.
I left my microphone in the house. I couldn't find my speaker. Anyway. So
It's
I
time
think
of year, isn't it, where everything just isn't in the place that you think it's going to be in.
there is something about today, though. So I've been teaching all day at work, and I just felt like if I'd just got the hangman out, people would have been thrilled. There's a sort of end of term sensation in the air at the moment.
Yeah, well, the reason I was a bit late and I forgot is that I've been doing the install the last few days for the story of Emily, and I just last night did not have the energy to unload the van. And the way I packed it when I left, well, you couldn't even really call it packing, it was shoving. And I got in the car to go to the hairdressers this afternoon and got to the first junction and everything just crashed forward, and it's all dried stuff, so it was almost like an explosion of dried material. Just the cloud erupted in front of me.
Did you get to the hairdresser and she had to pick bits out of your hair?
I did. I literally, everything just clings to you because I'm wearing knitwear, so everything just literally, I'm just like a fuzzball of stuff. So I had to go.
Did it go
and
well? Tell us all about it.
Shall I tell you all about it? Shall we?
Tell us all about it.
So can I just clarify for those of us that don't really know what's going on? Are we recording episode 9, not the Christmas one?
Yes, this is episode 9, not the Christmas one. I have got an in-out and an out-out, but I just assumed that we would just be talking about your week, which has been epic. So let's start.
My out, which I'm just going to go out because I really haven't been in at all, has been that I have installed the Christmas work at the Story of Emily. And it was quite a last minute order in terms of commissioning work of this scale, I would say, for this time of year. If anybody ever wants to do any sort of large installation work, please do not expect to get any red velvet ribbon past September. It has been challenging and it has been quite exciting. And I do feel like it's been a whirlwind of sort of 48 hours of installing it, because really I had a concept of what it would look like. But until you get to somewhere and you know, I've been making all these dried garlands. So there's 2 projects that were at play here. One was a very modern take for the welcome area, because this is a very sleek modern building that sits at the back of the rectory, separate to the rectory. And they have the most beautiful glass window, which spans right across this vista of sort of oak and beech trees, I think they are. And the brickwork is really beautiful. And then it's like this oak-lined window. And when I initially went there and chatted to the staff there, they first of all really wanted a hanging piece above their heads. And I just didn't want to do that because when you walk into this room, it's quite linear. And the welcome desk is to the left and this large window is to the left. And I just thought, you just don't look up. You're never going to look up. You just look out. So I wanted to do this sort of piece within the window. And I don't know whether, you are very familiar with, obviously, moorland, Cornwall. This area is quite moorland, Cornwall. It's not far from being off on the moors. St Ives and all the trees, unless they're in parklands, are quite windy. We call them the windy trees up on the moors because they all are at an angle. So I had this idea that I wanted to create a windy tree in the angle of this window and then decorate it with all my dried flowers. And I wanted something to link between there and the tradition of the rectory. So the rectory had to be meticulously very of the era, of the Victorian era. So there was to be no Nakuku baubles.
No.
Nothing that anybody could really get on the high street, all handmade things. And but I wanted something that linked. So my link between the two was these dried oranges. So
which were lovely.
Yeah, we strung dried oranges in the modern area, and they just are backlit by the window, and they're just fantastic. And I noticed that the beech trees in the background really blended with them. So when you just feel like it's a win, and did I know that was going to happen? I don't know. I think when you work with natural things and you see enough around you, it does come to you naturally. But there is an element where you just go, well, that work.
It's so funny that, isn't it? I think
Yeah.
I've been in places and I've had I've had such a clear idea about what I wanted to do and the materials that I took with me. And somehow when you're there, it just takes on a bit of a life of its own.
Yeah, I could never have told you exactly like where the first drop of oranges were going to go and where the swag of Linaria was going to finish or anything like that. But I did have a vision in my mind. What I would say is, very luckily, it actually was even better than what I thought it would be. I had a massive clematis tree which I actually cut down because I didn't want it anymore. And that created like this sort of base, this sort of trunk to the installation, which just worked. And we suspended it slightly. So again, there was the right amount of negative space, as we were discussing. So that was really great. And then the rectory was just luxe, very traditional styling, which I just think is just timeless. You just can't. I looked on that almost like a warmth. There was something really like homely and so funny because, like I said, you go into the rectory and you take your shoes off and you have to wear slippers because the floors are all like very beautiful. And the freelance that was working with me just said, I just feel like I've just been decorating my own home all day. It had such a really, obviously it was incredible to think that this was your home, but you breeze around it. It's not overly ostentatious. It's not huge. The rooms aren't big. So everything feels really approachable in those rooms. And I changed up the designs of the mantelpiece on each room, reflective of either the wallpaper or kind of the room that it was. For example, the study. It's the man's study, so it didn't need to have ribbons. And your teasels featured in it heavily.
That's so exciting.
That's so
I feel like I've been part of a bigger thing.
I know. Well, I tried to use lots of local artisans. So the Christmas tree, I actually sourced the candles, the tapered little Christmas tree candles from Alice in Scandyland, who's my lovely local Scandi shop in Loswithiel. And Alice there were many a times I rang Alice and just discussed things with her. So huge shout out to Alice and her shop. And please, given that we're recording this on Black Friday, please shop with the independents at some point over Christmas and the lead up to it.
Yep.
They're very important to us. And and they look great. Obviously, we can't light them, but just the suggestion of them, and it's the documentary of it, was really important in telling the story. And what was really fascinating is while I was working, especially on the second day when I was doing the dried installation, there was a lovely young guy that was in the welcome area greeting guests and stuff. And he had a real keen interest in what we were doing, to the point where it was like, you want to join in, don't you? And I asked him what he did, and he said, I actually studied fine art, and when we got chatting. And then I think he said he also did a master's. I might be wrong. I was a bit distracted at points. But he said that he specialised in storytelling. And it made me realise that actually what the Story of Emily are doing is really telling a story.
Yeah.
And they are, and I think I got I really got absorbed into that when doing the Victorian styling, because so much research into that. And I'll cover it a bit more in our Christmas edit as well. But it really felt to me like every room should tell a story as well in terms of the styling. Yeah, it did take 2 days in terms of install. It took more than 2 days in terms of making garlands. I think when I shared it on my stories, and I've now had so many people message me going, oh my God, how long did that take you to do? Because it literally took up the entire floor of my studio.
They were fat, weren't they? Those bundles, the swags were fat. They weren't any of these sort of woody, ranchy. They were just fat.
No. And I thought about this. I thought, how do you do? I mean, ultimately, for next year, if I'm so lucky as to get the gig again, I sort of thought, what would I do differently? And really, to a certain degree, you can't really do anything different. These are just very traditional, very luxurious, very full garlands. And that's what they were. But they did. There were no trends, really. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody was.
And it was the material that they could forage and that they could harvest. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just went really traditional like that. And actually, I have to say, sparked a little bit of Christmas spirit back into me.
Oh.
I know. And I love Christmas. I loved Christmas until I did Padstow Christmas Market with Maz, God knows how many years ago. And wreaths were really not a thin thing back then, and we hit the wreath market overnight. And I made so many wreaths for that Christmas market. I didn't want to see another Christmas wreath for the rest of my life. I think 2024, I have recovered. I really feel.
Will never weave a willow wreath again, because one year I think I did about 200, and I was just
That's
like,
what I mean.
I was shutting my eyes and my hands were still moving and making wreaths. It was
Just ruins it, doesn't it?
It does.
Oh, but I tell you what, latest favourite product. Thank you to Becky for giving it to me. Grapevine. Much prefer it to willow.
Oh,
for
for
weaving.
wreaths. Have you seen Joanna Game?
Yeah, I was going to say, I
Joanna
know I'm
Game's
late
been
to the
doing
game.
that's Virginia Creeper.
Hers is
'Cause
Virginia
it's-
Creeper. Yeah, this is good.
Yes.
This I used was Grapevine. I had to make, and again, I'm going to go into it a bit more with our Christmas special, but I had to make a very traditional Cornish item, and I made it with Grapevine. And it worked. I tried it, I prototyped it with willow, and willow is as slippery as anything.
Yes, it is, yeah.
And the Grapevine just sort of
Holds.
danced in my hand. It just molded, it just worked. It just seemed to be pliable and lovely. And I suppose the thing is, I don't actually do a lot of Christmas work. Historically, I've done private houses. I've dressed a few of those back in the day. I've done a few wreath workshops, obviously, with lovely Beconic and other places. And I've done the odd Christmas market years and years ago, but I wouldn't say I've ever done a brand before. So for me, this was which I have been going long enough to have got one, for goodness sake. So I'm very grateful that somebody suddenly gone, oh, we'll take Becca along. Yes, it was a new thing for me. And actually, what was lovely was that I did have creative license, which quite often with brand work, you don't actually have to fit their brand. I did have to fit their brand, but there was a lot of creative license of what I decided to do.
Fit the setting maybe more than the brand, because the setting is
You're
the
right.
brand in that case, isn't it? And you wouldn't ever do anything that just didn't sit right in a space.
Exactly. So creatively, I was allowed to go at it as long as it fitted in, a Victoria Christmas, basically, which was lovely. Yeah, so that really is
that's
my
your
out,
in, your
out,
out, and your out
everything.
all
So
combined.
We're now at 13 minutes and 18 seconds, and I'm done.
Do I get to
Grace.
talk them? Over to me.
Yeah. I'm done though. But that's episode 9. There is nothing more to
That's
say.
episode 9 for you.
Yeah,
I'm glad
yeah.
I've made it 13 minutes in without disappearing, because
Bless you.
there was a bit of me that did think I might actually drown under a pile of tissue paper. So I've come out to the studio to record this, which is where I pack all my orders, and it is an absolute hive of activity. And so there are piles and piles of all my sweet pea bundles are packed, all my boxes are packed. They just all need to be bought and go into the post. But I do have, when tissue paper starts to slide, it does slide. I thought I might drown under some tissue paper, but I think we're going to be all right. So my in is, firstly, is packing orders, but the other one is I'm making a punt for January Paperwhites, because I think we did have a podcast where we both talked about Paperwhites, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to put my Paperwhites in. They didn't actually arrived by the time we recorded that podcast, but they came in 2 or 3 days later, and I was like, brilliant. I'll do my. Have I done my Paperwhites?
No.
The Paperwhites are still in the box. So
I have a confession to make. I haven't even ordered them.
do as I say, not as I do, guys.
I know. I was so convinced I was going to do it. But for anyone, I will say for anyone that is like me and Grace, who has all the gusto to do something and then it just doesn't happen, I can highly recommend Paperwhites cut from the sillies. You can book them now. They will be delivered for Christmas week. You are supporting lovely, lovely Cornish farms that grow the Paperwhites on the sillies, and they are stunning. I've been ordering them as basically thank you gifts to clients and people who have worked with me, and whoever.
There we go.
And they're lovely.
Well, I'm trying to redress this as cheering up January, but I think, yes, you've also reframed it in a lovely positive way that actually we could just support local growers, not local growers, but UK, British flowers, grown,
British
not flown,
flowers. Yeah.
all of that. Oh, do they have to fly?
They ferry
from
them.
the sillies?
I think they ferry them.
They go in the boat.
I think they might go in the boat.
There is a boat. I know there's a boat.
I think, it's a good question. I think they go in the boat. Or if not, they probably go on a flight that is coming over anyway.
Quite. Let's put it in hand luggage.
There isn't freight. I don't think there's freight flights because I can't see it's big enough to.
Maybe there isn't.
No.
Maybe there isn't.
But they do a great job.
They do, and they're so beautiful. So I will be doing them this weekend. I will be putting up my outdoor sparkly lights this weekend. I think partly, not because it's December, but that was what I was holding out for. But I tell you what, the weather has been so unbelievably filthy recently. I think we all need a bit of cheering up.
Yeah.
So that's my gesture to my local village, which is putting up my sparkly lights and a wreath and some of my baubles. I'll see what happens with those, not sure. Because in terms of my out, what I've been doing outside is a bit of a proxy out. So I remember we had a conversation on the podcast a while ago about my slightly tricky neighbour.
Still all right?
I was in the house packing orders or something, and Naomi, who's my friend and gardener who comes to help me on a Thursday, and I did that thing where it's like, I'm really sorry, this is a really crap job, but I really want to trim the hedge. We've got a Lonicera hedge, and it looks terrible when it's tatty and looks amazing when it's shaped.
Okay.
So I really want to just trim the hedge, just get it neat again. But could you just go and pull out some of the brambles? Because you can't trim it with the brambles in. They just go wild. And so as she was doing it, my neighbour collared her. And she kept doing that thing of just, please talk to Grace, please talk to Grace. I have nothing to do with this. So she was complaining that the field behind both of our gardens is full of brambles and that somehow it's my job to clear the field of brambles because the rats keep coming into her chicken run. And then she decided to bang on about the bit of land that we've got between the flower fields and the back of our cottages. It's always been a bit scrubby and she's always wanted to buy it. And so she started talking about how we didn't need that much parking.
Oh, is it your land she wants to buy off you?
Yes.
I can't see you giving away land, though.
No, absolutely not. And so my neighbour and I, so we co-own it because it's sort of part of the parking for the whole row of cottages.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And so we were talking about all of the things that we could put there that would be the most antisocial. Whether or not we were going to keep geese for next Christmas or a driving range, which beginners, golfers.
I was going to say I could send a load of Finn and his teenage friends up. We can have a driving range and go for hours. Yeah.
We thought a small sort of shelter to have parties in.
Oh,
or maybe we could just put a shepherd's hut there and say we're going to start running an Airbnb.
So things are fraught.
I have to laugh. It's just hilarious. And I think this is so much a part of living in a village that it's quite comforting in a funny sort of way. I don't think life would be quite the same if you didn't have these really weird exchanges with your neighbours.
But the worst thing is when the for sale sign goes up and you think, oh no, I could be getting somebody even worse. Do you know what I mean? Because at least you know the problems with any current neighbours around you. Yeah. Whereas you don't really know what you're going to get next.
No,
do you?
I know.
And that's something to be very mindful of, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, there isn't that much toing and froing in Corf.
So you've been trying to mark out your boundaries, so to speak.
Yes. I'm quite like beating the bounds, but yes. So I've not been out to do anything to raise this discussion again. No. I've been slightly hiding away in my studio, just packing my orders and keeping myself to myself.
A mobile phone is very handy at those times to just grab it and walk around with it.
To be honest, it's quite a big hedge that we've got, so I'm nurturing the hedge.
Yeah.
Which is, the hedges are looking amazing at the moment, just in terms of outs. I think I love this time of year when, I know we had a conversation ages ago about cleaning and tidying up and putting the garden to bed and things, but there is a moment where stuff really starts to go, and given that I sent you all of my teasels, I don't have as much structure and skeleton stuff. No, it's fine. I was thrilled to contribute. But it does mean that your hedges do a lot of hard work at this time of year. Hedges and trees. I'm really lucky.
I haven't really got much hedging because of the structure of our gardens where we are. And it's very strange because our house doesn't have a back. Have I said this before? Because it's the old coach by the old coach works, because it's a railway cottage. So weirdly, when anyone comes to us, we've actually got two front doors because it used to be two cottages. So it confuses anybody that comes to deliver to the house which one. Even though I've marked out the predominant path to the predominant door, it still floors everybody. And there's no back to the house. So we've got no windows at the back of the house. But it also means that our gardens, I think the front of our gardens used to all be almost allotment style. I've seen pictures of it. It was a boundary hedge at one point, but now it's been carved up by people basically putting fences up. But actually, talking about a good hedge, my neighbour, whose garden runs down from the other way, not my immediate neighbour, another one, like I said, it's very confusing, runs down the back of my garden. They've got a beautiful beech hedge. You can't beat a beech hedge.
Absolutely.
They're really good at keeping it clipped and tight. And actually, in my corner, it's really nice because I just trim some of it out and bring it into the house because I love some of it in vases. But I look at it all the time and I see it end on, really. It's a bit strange, but even that, it just looks so structurally beautiful. And when you clip a beech hedge, if nobody's too aware of it, if you keep it clipped tight, it doesn't completely defoliage, does it? And it's just got that lovely autumn glow to it.
Oh, they are. Right now is just the ultimate. And I think when we've had such little sunshine and then suddenly it comes out and my hedge just glows. It's
yeah,
amazing.
I was going to say, it really doesn't it? It glows at this time of year, yeah. That's what the oranges were doing. It was a similar sort of look. That's what I said with the oranges and that beech. It was so noticeable because everything else is completely and utterly naked. If it's deciduous, it's gone.
Especially after Storm Bert. I've seen some awful pictures. We're going to the Somerset Cider Brandy farm, Burrows Farm. They've got a Christmas fair tomorrow and we're going to pop down. It's only half an hour away, so we're going to go down to near Ilminster, Martop that way. And I saw some pictures and they've just lost mature apple trees.
No,
Just
really?
snapped at the base. Yeah.
That's shocking.
Awful.
That's really shocking. I wonder... It's just literally the wind coming through because they didn't have fruit on them, so it's not like the weight of them that would have all gone already. Yeah, that's sad, isn't it? I tell you what I have got though. I've still got loads of foliage on my roses, my climbing roses, and it always surprises me how much the roses keep their foliage for so long.
Yeah, my Madame Alfred Carrière is.
That's
I must
fine.
prune it because it's waving in the wind in a sort of frondy type way. Because it's still completely green.
It's completely green. And I think that's a good note to remind people is that whilst pruning for me is February and a lot of people it's January if you're really cold, prune anything that's going to get windrock or get caught by storms because you're better to just take it down by a third than get it caught. And I noticed I have to do that up at the Lamb where it's very high because I remember last year I could almost put my hand down into the rose from the wick. So just taking that new top off is well worth it. Mulch and then give them another haircut in sort of January, February. Becca's top
All the
tip.
rose wearing tips from Becca Stewart here.
I can't help myself. I can't help yourself. Oh, and it's hilarious. You will laugh. I will say my out is rose related because having decided that I have enough roses, I still found myself purchasing some. I have some problem, Grace. I have a problem. I
do.
Well, think in my experience, moving roses, they move very well. And I would say the majority of people, trust in the process. It's absolutely fine. But when you are growing roses commercially like I am, you also do have to hedge your bets. And that is my justification for just making sure. So the Koko Loko and the Champagne Moment, which I had together at the Duchy in it was a fairly big planter. I haven't moved them yet because, can you believe it? I actually did put Koko Loko roses in my wedding on Monday.
Oh, wow.
So, I know, she had roses. It's incredible, isn't it? And I looked at the rose and I just thought, this is going to be a beast to dig out. It will be dug out, but I'm just a little concerned. So I have hedged my bets. I have bought a Koko Loko, another Koko Loko, a Julia's Rose and a Honey Dijon. And I'm going to have just a few newer ones just because also, actually, it doesn't hurt to buy a little bit of fresh stock every year anyway.
Absolutely.
When you're cutting them like I am.
Honey Dijon is lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely.
I've not grown it before.
It's beautiful. And the hips are huge.
Are you growing yours inside or outside?
Well, I don't have an inside, do I?
No, I was just thinking that. You don't. Oh, okay.
I've got a greenhouse, but you don't put a rose in a greenhouse, do I?
No.
So mine are at the front against the wall. They don't love it there, if I'm honest. They're really not very happy, but they still flower their socks off in a slightly, oh my gosh, we're working quite hard here.
Right. Yeah.
And it's now entwined with a Wisley Cream Winter Clematis, which is also not helping it.
Oh.
But I will move it to somewhere where it's a bit happier because it is a lovely rose.
Why is it not happy, do you think? Because it's being swamped or it's not getting its...
No, it's the front garden has got some very large lime trees quite close to it.
Yeah,
and I think they just come all the way underneath the garden at the front, and it means that nothing really ever gets its roots down. You can grow a patchy lawn, and Pulmonaria loves it for some weird reason.
Yeah, you need something that doesn't like too rich.
Yeah.
Yeah, and roses don't like competition, actually. They just don't like competition.
No.
I know that's quite good. But anyway, so my out is that I've ordered these roses and they have arrived. And you just got to plant more roses now.
Yeah.
If you can't plant them straight away, put them in a bucket of water. They'll be absolutely fine for a couple of weeks. Don't plant them in the frost because it's too cold. So just don't worry. Keep them hydrated. They're bare root. They will be fine. And if needs be, if you can't even plant them in a couple of weeks' time, shove them in a bucket with holes in compost, heal them in, and just leave them till you can deal with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Heal them in. As long as they've got soil over the roots, they'll be fine.
They'll be fine. And
Absolutely
I
fine.
might well be doing that because I've got a couple of easy raised beds in my front garden. They may well get healed in till at least after the new year. So, so I think my plan. What else have you been? What are we doing? Are you doing out? Have you done it?
My out hasn't. Do you know what? Apart from, I've been touring the county, picking up Facebook Marketplace bargains.
Have you?
That is the most glamorous as my out has been. So on Wednesday night, I found myself, was it Wednesday? One night this week.
Yeah.
I thought I had this plan of I was going to do a loop and I'd arranged 5 different Facebook Marketplace purchases that I was going to collect on this loop.
That's organised, isn't it?
It was very organised. It was Monday night, actually. And so rugs and lamps for the new rooms that we're bringing into circulation.
You told me you've been obsessing over rugs, yeah.
Obsessing. I think I've now bought enough rugs, but I keep putting it in Facebook Marketplace search bar anyway, just in case. Now I'm onto sofas. It's not
That's
getting any better.
ambitious. Yeah, a bit in a landy.
No, I know. My husband will put anything on the roof of the Land Rover.
Fair enough.
So I headed up north out of town and then did a big loop around towards Wells and Cheddar, where I got a really beautiful hearth rug. But I was following my sat nav, but oh my God, the Somerset Levels are the creepiest place at night.
Really?
So I've been there before and I just thought I would just never want to do this again. But I got taken these tiny little roads and they're in between all the dikes that drain the levels. So you feel like you can literally only go forwards or backwards into this pitch blackness. So I was very glad it was worth it when I got there. But oh my God, I was pleased to see a main road when I got to the end.
Are they a bit flooded as well?
The ditches were full. Yeah. So you feel a bit like you're just on this causeway sometimes. But yes.
You've got the right vehicle for it though, in fairness.
I was in a sensible car. I wasn't in the Land Rover, unfortunately.
Oh, were you not?
Yeah. So I was very relieved to get home with civilization. So I think I have a similar approach to Facebook Marketplace as I do to Vinted, which is 1 in 3 things is going to be an astonishing success. 1 in 3 things is going to be okay and you're quite glad you got it. And one of them is going to be a disaster.
Okay.
So the lamp I bought was a disaster. It had been photographed in the wrong light and I thought it was cream and buff and it wasn't. It was grey and grey. So I drove that around in the car for the rest of the week because I just couldn't bring myself to get it out. But anyway, I have done that.
That's annoying, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, so that'll appear on Facebook Marketplace again, probably.
Oh, so regifting. My in has been a bit of I've gone like full circle with the tidying up. Obviously, I've had so much stuff in the sitting room with all the dried boxes of garlands, your teasels, piling up. And that's now gone, which is great. And I've also said goodbye to the eldest child who is gone. And I know. So I decided to tackle his bedroom. Now, if anyone that's listening to this who has children of a teenage age, there is something quite liberating about going in and kicking stuff out.
Did you take a big black bin bag in with you?
I did. I took several big black bin bags in. The room looks incredibly. I'm sat in it now. Actually, it has plants in it and a nice lamp. So I don't want to. It is his bedroom, and it will always be his bedroom. But he has a box of socks that I said to Noah. So Noah, my youngest, was helping me. I said, "Could you sort them?" He went, "Actually, it's making me physically sick. I think they should all go in the bin." So. I don't like waste, but actually they've been well worn. These socks, because there's obsession, obviously, of any age group under the age of 18, actually, I think 24 now, to wear white socks, which I'm sorry if you're a Cornish kid, they're never white. God. They are, or my children run in and out of the house to the cabin, so they're never white for very long. So they've gone. I found 13 college lanyards, temporary lanyard passes.
Are you going to send them all back?
Well, I did. Funny enough, I do know one of the rugby coaches, and I sent him a photograph saying, "Tell me you've got an ADHD child without telling me you've got an ADHD child." Because if anyone has got a neurodiverse child, you will understand why there are probably 13 temporary lanyards, because he just cannot remember his lanyard to get him in and out of college. And I was just working out, I think that's more than one a month for a first year at college. So that's going some, isn't it?
It is.
I know. I'm actually quite impressed that he managed to convince somebody to give him 13 lanyards.
And they never asked for them back.
Oh, no. No, it's amazing, isn't it? Can you think of landfill? So it's really bad. So I'm going to have to do something with them. And my husband wants to keep them until some 21st birthday and shame him or something. I don't know.
His wedding day.
Yeah, his wedding day or something. Yeah, it's just quite comical. So anyways, so the dear chap, we've just gone through the room and given it a good clean out and a clear out. All his stuff is here, but it's all now nicely ordered. It is honestly, the moment he's back, and he's back for a week, it will be back to being probably the chaos that is a teenager's room. But at the moment, it means that we've got a little bit of an indoor spare room, because the cabin's actually, I don't know about your studio, you'll probably got a bit better heating, but our cabin's really cold for working in at the moment. I'm able to now work in Finley's bedroom, which is quite handy, actually.
If anyone knows anything about tech, please do chip in at this moment, because my studio is the only thing that building I own that's insulated. So actually, once I'm in it, I only need to light a candle and it's pretty warm.
Yes.
But it does get cold overnight, and my computer is taking longer and longer to load up.
Oh, interesting.
And get started. And I'm thinking, I don't think being that cold is good for a computer.
Oh, that is interesting.
I don't know. Is that a thing? I'm not sure.
I don't know, but maybe just treat it to a bit of bubble wrap at night or something.
It has got a hat.
It's got, I love it. Do
It's
you
got
remember those old hats the monitors used to have? Do you remember you used to have a cover over? Have you not seen the covers that they used to put over the monitors? You need to watch an old film of something and then you'll see one. Sure.
Funny enough, it was more for security reasons. We were trying to hide the fact that I've got a computer in my studio. So it's got this beautiful handmade, Naomi made it for me, like a woolen forest green hat.
You look like a tea cosy for a computer.
To completely inefficiently disguise the fact that it is a computer.
I love it. I love it. Mine's insulated. My cabin's insulated. So like yours, I put the heater on and within seconds it's boiling. But it doesn't hold it doesn't keep the heat. And oh my goodness. And that will get us started about your blooming Everhot again.
I'm not buying a second Everhot to just go in, or it will be a third by that point.
You were getting one for your room, your bedroom.
Yeah, I've got,
You're
that's for the bedroom.
That's what
and the carpet arrived for that. It's a huge herringbone jute rug arrived this morning for the bedroom. So this weekend, I think, is the weekend that the bedroom comes into operation.
I can't wait to see pictures of it.
I know. I'll put some in the Gather Instagram.
Has it arrived?
No. So it's 3 weeks from ordering, and it's been a week exactly. But I have got it under the radar for Christmas delivery.
Oh, well done.
Yeah.
You can then check if I could boil a kettle on it.
That is literally the first thing I'm going to do.
I know.
Let it settle, give it a wipe over, and then I'm going to try and boil a kettle.
I think we should take bets on this. We could do a poll. Is it going to boil a kettle or not? How exciting are our polls, quite frankly? Well, have we covered it all?
Have we covered episode
We've covered
9?
it all.
We've covered it all. Episode 9. So next podcast is the Christmas finale.
Thank goodness, because I keep thinking it's this one every time I sit down to record another. I'm like, hey, Grace, is this the next one? Yeah, I'm very bad.
No, we're in
the schedule.
Tell me you've got an ADHD child without telling me you've got an ADHD
child.
child.
Exactly. Yeah, it's got to come from somewhere.
Got to come from somewhere. No, that was episode 9.
Episode 9.
Yeah, I think we've been amazing at keeping going at season 3, even when things have been super busy for you and lots going on. And yeah, it's been a joy.
Yeah, and I had a really nice message actually, didn't I?
I shared. Did.
Oh, I wanted to remind myself on who it was. It was so lovely, wasn't it? It was from a lady called Becca. And she messaged just saying how much she enjoyed listening to our podcasts, and that, she listens to it every week, and she enjoys our frustrations of family cooking and our conversations on cozy socks. So thank you so much. It's really nice. We do read all the DMs that get sent to us, and it's lovely to hear that you're enjoying listening to the podcast. So that's a wrap for episode 9, people, and watch out for our Christmas special.
All right, lovely to chat.
And you take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye.